I'm going to officially welcome you to the State of the City presentation for 2022. This is my 8th presentation, which seems quite impossible at this point. Our annual State of the City is the opportunity that we have each year to reflect on our accomplishments, acknowledge our challenges, and update you on the status of our city. Much of what we will talk about today began far before my tenure, but a lot has happened in recent years as well. All that we do is very personal to me and to our very dedicated city employees and council members, because we know firsthand all of the preparation, legal work, extensive processes, and studies that are a part of any project that we get to celebrate. Even if we don't touch on every aspect of the city today, I hope that you'll walk away with a feel for how your city government works. Whether we're talking about roads or other infrastructure, recreation, city finance, or private investment, we strive every day to improve the lives of our citizens and prepare for future generations. Today, I'll brag about the good things, touch on some of the things that aren't quite there yet, and hopefully connect some dots and help you understand your city more. So let's begin with that is challenging all of Middle Tennessee. Any guesses? Growth. I have a question for you all. Would you raise your hand for me if you love all the growth that's happening in our area? There's more hands than I expected. Would you raise your hand if you hate it? That's fair, I get it. Are you somewhere in between? You can see the good and bad. I think it was really interesting to see the people who love it, so thank you for that. Of course, we are in a room full of pro-business people, and that matters. But I want to share with you some of the facts. Gallatin's growth rate is very similar to other cities surrounding Nashville. It has been fast, it's been furious, it's been difficult, it's hard. Some people like to say that I or we, which I guess meaning the government, are the reason that there are more people here in Middle Tennessee. The fact is that there is no way that I personally benefit, and it's a fact, and those of you in the room are going to agree with me who work for the city. It's a fact that all of us in government would have a lot more fun and a lot less work without the growth pressure. Personally, I believe that the changes are hardest for those of us who can nostalgically remember what once was. Would I say that we're at a place where we only want large capital investment in retail, restaurants, and hotels? Of course I would, but that's not the true future. We will attract all of those things because of our population, our demographics, and all that is attractive about Gallatin. But the fact is that there is still a huge demand for housing and for workforce, which means that we will continue to see residential development here. So while it is very challenging, I believe that there are also tremendous opportunities that come with the growth. Certainly, there's the valuable commercial investment. There are far more public and private amenities than there once were. Existing businesses are thriving, and that was not always the case. And we've seen the value of having so many talented, smart, caring, and generous people becoming an engaged part of our community. There are many of you in this room today. Our challenge now is to retain the culture, our character, and our charm while always keeping us vibrant, relevant, resilient, and financially sound. Right now, the City of Gallatin has a $9.8 million rainy day fund with an additional $20 million in reserve funds. That's a very healthy balance for a city our size. And that is with no tax increase in more than a decade, maintaining a true neutral tax rate of 80 cents, which, by the way, is the lowest in Sumner County except for our friends in Millersville. For this fiscal year, our budget is more than $97 million. This number includes over $10 million for large capital projects and purchases throughout the city, like new fire trucks, police cars, golf carts for the golf course, trash trucks, a dump truck, stormwater and utility construction, and numerous paving projects. The total budget for the general fund is more than $50 million, which would have been our largest to date, but last year's was amended significantly as the concerns about the fiscal impact of COVID eased. City expenses are funded through your tax dollars with more than $15 million in property tax revenues, sales tax revenues of more than $18 million, and almost $16 million in other revenues. It's particularly positive that our sales tax revenues have now exceeded $1 million per month for the past 16 months straight. And I can distinctly remember when we had our very first $1 million month, just a few short years ago. I'm pleased that this year we increased the amount of dollars we hold in our rainy day fund from 20% to 25% and established those same requirements for water, sewer, and gas reserves. This is a smart move by this city to protect us all from difficult days that may well come upon us. The city also made a significant investment in employees this year. We adjusted the salaries of 429 full-time employees and made a $1.7 million investment in our workforce. We also improved our already highly competitive benefits with vacation and holiday adjustments as well. We are all very fortunate that we are in a city that is financially stable enough to make this large investment in the retention and attraction of our quality talent. Helping to keep your tax burden low here in Gallatin is Gallatin's success in its acquisition of grant dollars. Within the past year, we've been awarded more than $16 million in state and federal funds. These grant-funded projects join an already extensive list of other transportation, public safety, parks, solid waste, and vehicle grants that we've been awarded that will help us all have a safe, navigable, and thriving city and county. And I say county because Gallatin is also an economic powerhouse for Sumner County. Our diverse revenue stream contributes significantly to this county the county financial base. Our city represents 23% of the county's population, yet generates 42% of the commercial property tax, 22% of the residential property tax, and 42% of the personal property tax. We also produce 35% of the local sales tax revenue, which, as you know, only increases each time a new retailer or restaurant opens its doors in Gallatin. That large impact on our county is before Meta becomes the largest revenue source in the coming year and before we have the influx of retail and restaurants that we're about to see. And I know a lot of people talk about our city's burden on our schools. I think you'll be surprised to know that we only have about 20% of the county's school-aged children and that the school population in Sumner County has been steady for more than 20 years, averaging about 1 to 1.5% growth per year. So while your cost of services from your city is naturally a tremendous concern by all of you, I feel certain that your biggest concern is probably living in a safe community. This is definitely a top priority for me. I can tell you with absolute confidence that our Gallatin Police Department is among the very best. It is It is supported and respected by city leadership, by our community, and by other law enforcement departments. Our GPD closure rate, in other words, how many crimes they solve, is always phenomenal and the envy of other departments. But it's because this department does the work to stop and deter crime in our city. This year, the department answered 52,000 calls for service and made 5,000 arrests. Traffic enforcement increased this year to keep our busier streets safer. And in spite of our growth, crime rates continue to be impressively low. Crimes like aggravated assaults dropped 16%, property crimes decreased 7%, and auto thefts went down 50%, telling me that people are finally heeding the warnings to lock your car and secure their valuables. And I'm guessing that the increase you see there in DUIs shows us that more people are going out post-COVID and drinking than they did during the height of the fears. And because we all love animals, and because he's a tremendous asset to our city, I have to mention police dog Milo.
They're able to conduct building searches when a building has been burglarized. They do evidence searches for evidence of the crime, such as weapons. It could be a gun, knife that might have been used in a crime.
Milo continues to do a great job for Gallatin and was this year featured in the Canine Courier magazine. He even got a fan letter from a 9th grader at GHS calling Milo a superhero, and of course I couldn't agree more. A new resource for our police force is a new gun range, which is finally getting closer as we should break ground soon. This is part of an eventual comprehensive police and fire training ground. I want you to know that I am so very proud of our Gallatin Police Department for all that they do all the time, because in addition to their law enforcement work, GPD also participated in more than 200 events, like the Back to School Prayer and the Backpack Giveaway. I believe that the outreach that they do is key to the department's success, as it builds important relationships and teaches our young people about the value of law enforcement. Our Gallatin Fire Department has a very similar success story. Emergency call volumes this year have increased dramatically. We do have low incidences of structure fires, but the department keeps busy with plenty of medical calls. Even still, our department's able to lend aid when it's needed by our neighbors, like Russellville, Kentucky did for wildfire earlier this year.
Well, this is called a scramble deployment. Essentially, you get a phone call, and generally you're on the road 30 to 45 minutes to help another location out, with the expectation you're only there to work 12 to 24 hours.
And that's just one example of work our Gallatin Fire Department does outside of its regular duties. Of course, we did have a very big fire this year, right in our historic downtown.
Sight for many of you there in Sumner County last night after the new courthouse goes up in flames. Crews worked quickly to try and save the building. WSMV's Joylyn Bukovac.
Our firefighters did an amazing job extinguishing this fire using some assistance from Sumner County's emergency management's drone that helped locate hot spots on the roof. Unfortunately, there is a delay now in the courthouse construction, but it does bear mentioning that numerous knowledgeable people have shared with me that our fire department's strategic fight likely prevented a far greater loss, and for that we can all be appreciative and proud. There was also a really nasty fire at the Sumner County Resource Authority. This was a tough one but to extinguish because there was layers of burning trash and intense smoke. I was there that day, and it certainly gave me a renewed appreciation of the hard, dirty, and valuable work that our firefighters do. On the good news front, the Gallatin Fire Department got a lot of new equipment, including an unexpected bonus ad. While visiting the Pierce factory to order a new truck, a very well-equipped demo truck became available. We submitted our purchase documents just 7 minutes before another city did, and Gallatin got a fire truck 2 years sooner than expected. Our police and fire departments are both well equipped with equipment and technology to keep them and our community safe. Furthermore, both have planned well so that Gallatin will be able to continue to keep these departments among the best anywhere. But big investment is happening throughout our city. Not often in the spotlight, but vitally important, is the city's information technology department. Our city is far ahead of most with our technology, and I'm especially proud that this department undertook and successfully executed our required redistricting triggered by the 2020 census data. Our Gallatin IT team utilized GIS mapping software to process population and demographic data to create different boundary scenarios for consideration by the Gallatin City Council. In the end, more than 16,000 Gallatin voters changed council districts, and Gallatin submitted our information to the State Comptroller's Office more quickly than any other city in our county. This was a cost savings for our citizens, as this was something that most cities would have to outsource for. There's also a lot of investment in fixing, improving, and adding roads. I know that you have probably said ugly things about our roads, and while many complaints are about our state roads, we do have challenges with city roads, which we're working on. After 17 years of work, the Albert Gallatin Avenue extension officially opened in July.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So I'm thrilled, Mayor, with your leadership, and I appreciate very much all the work that's gone into this, the years of dedication to get this done. Great asset, great addition to the City of Gallatin. Congratulations, Gallatin.
This connector diverts traffic from our downtown and creates a new corridor. This was the largest locally managed road project ever in Tennessee. And I want to thank in front of all of you, our city engineer Nick Tuttle and the engineering staff, and Gallatin's project coordinator Rosemary Bates for a superior execution. The compliments from TDOT about how expertly this project was managed magnified how proud we should all be of this accomplishment. This year we were very excited and honestly a bit surprised, thank you Senator Hale, that Governor Lee included in his road project funding budget significant improvement to Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. The $111 million project will widen the highway to 3 lanes in each direction near Highway 109 and create a new interchange at State Route 386 and Long Hollow Pike, and will hopefully be completed in record time. And not in record time, but well worth reporting yet again, is the coordination of our traffic signals. I know, that merits a laugh, it does. We did begin this in 2016. The city is now under contract with Stansville Electric. We are only awaiting the delivery of fiber. And by this time next year, our traffic congestion problems will be so much better. Nick Tuttle promises us this. So now let's talk about paving, because everyone thinks the street that they live on is the absolutely worst one in the city. But we do prioritize fairly by employing technology that travels each city road and scans for imperfections.
And on this van, we have 9 cameras, a total of 9 cameras. There are 3 in the front and 6 in the back. The larger devices that came from the bottom here are called LCMS scanners, and those are the laser crack measurement scanners. We use that to scan the pavement. There are 2 Velodyne LiDARs at the top that create a 3D LiDAR cloud around anything that we drive by. And then that data is processed and used to assess and provide to the customer what they need.
And the information that we get then helps us prioritize roads and establish which roads will get repairs and paving during the warmer weather months. This is the current year's paving list, with the largest impact being Greenlee, which will be resurfaced from the 386 overpass all the way across 31 and to the south. As for repairs, over the course of the last year, our Public Works Department used 781 tons of asphalt to fill more than 2,400 potholes. That's a whole lot of shoveling and tamping, and yes, a lot of potholes. We can say thank you to the Tennessee weather. And there's a lot of new projects that you can look forward to too, including the new signal at Cairo and Airport Roads, Blythe Street improvements, and the 386 project that I mentioned. Stormwater improvements continue in our city. With so much heavy rain and new development, it's evident how essential this work is. We continue to innovate, however, with projects like this one.
Well, today we're up on Sherry Circle here in Gallatin, kind of in a little bit the older area of town, and we're at a house or in a subdivision where the ditch has started to cause some ditch bank erosion. And in that erosion, it's starting to threaten some of our utilities, some of our sanitary sewer, and the homeowner's yard. So we've come up with a solution to stabilize the side of this larger ditch with Gabion baskets, which are a very interesting product. They've been around a few years, but we haven't used them a whole lot in Gallatin, and which hopefully we'll be using more of them. But they are like fence material used to create a basket you fill with rocks. So it's a rock basket.
While many don't appreciate or understand the importance of stormwater management, it is essential for water quality and flood prevention. It's also required by law so that Gallatin maintains its MS4 permit, which allows us to operate our valuable public utilities. Maintenance is also a big part of what this department does, which in the last year included miles of cleared ditches, debris removal, and trash removal, and more than 100 work orders. Also important to the city is our solid waste management. I'll start with the great news, which is that Gallatin has a brand new street sweeper for sweeping and vacuuming major streets and curbsides. One of the comments on social media earlier this year was that the new sweeper sucks, and I'm grateful that it does do that very well and helps keep our city cleaner. Of course, our city does collect a lot of trash. I'm grateful that much does get recycled. Over 744 tons were diverted from the landfill this year. Interestingly, most of the materials that we recycle decreased compared to the last year, like plastic, paper, metals, and glass, except for cardboard, which increased by more than 56 tons. I think that tells us all that people are returning to work, but they're still ordering from Amazon. Trash volumes increased only slightly this year, with 15 tons of garbage picked up from more than 14,000 customers. We also picked up almost 5,000 tons of brush and leaves, which was a 43% increase from the previous year. Unfortunately, as you've likely noticed, roadside litter remains a terrible problem. For years, our city has conducted litter cleanups, but we can't get ahead of the problem. I do think it would be far worse without the efforts, which this year included some really big projects, like 47 ServPro employees picking up 900 pounds of trash, the Cumberland River Compact using kayaks to remove 500 pounds of trash from the shorelines, more than 100 volunteers from the American Public Power Association picking up garbage on the routes to the Resource Authority, and the inaugural Sumner County-wide cleanup in which 300 volunteers picked up almost 16,000 pounds of litter. And not that it was a contest, but Gallatin did have the most volunteers for this effort. The only way that we are going to overcome the scourge of litter is renewed respect for our environment. While our cleanup efforts show that having a clean community is in the hearts and minds of most, some people still litter. Gallatin no longer has access to Sumner County inmates for litter pickup. Now we have to depend on our city employees who have other responsibilities. We're trying every angle, asking businesses to help by providing trash receptacles, notifying Resource Authority customers that loads are required to be tarped, and increasing enforcement, which is hard because you might guess that folks don't usually throw out litter in front of a police officer. So I'll wrap up the trash talk, and I know I'm singing to the choir, as they say, and I will switch our focus to something more positive, which is our city utilities. Gallatin's businesses and residents benefit tremendously from our municipal-owned utilities. Our utilities provide water, sewer, gas, and electrical services. Our utilities maintain very low rates and are well prepared for the future of our city with ample capacity remaining. Our Gallatin Department of Electricity added 1,300 new customers this year and completed its 36th straight year without outstanding debt. I think, yep, that was Mark Kimball. Its rates will remain among the lowest in the Tennessee Valley system and the second lowest in all of Middle Tennessee. I also love that their brand got a new look this year. At Gallatin Public Utilities, big things are going on.
Yeah, what we're building here is a 10 million gallon pre-stressed concrete tank. It is an equalization tank, which means that all of big storm events and heavy water areas will be pumped to this tank in order to free up capacity for the water and wastewater treatment facilities. EQ basins have really become popular. We have built probably 40–50% of our business over the last 8 to 10 years has been EQ basins alone. So it's not just Gallatin, it's everywhere that's having to address this problem to free up capacity for the water treatment plants.
So now you all know what that really big tank on Maple Street is. Thanks to GPU, your water quality remains outstanding as it has for many years, and our robust testing assures that. Not only is there extensive analysis of water within the water plant, but also frequent bacteriological testing of 83 sites around our city. But there's more, as GPU has bumped it up a notch with a new pilot plant using nanofilter technology.
What it is, we have started looking at a pilot plant that's basically going to look at the future for the City of Gallatin and its drinking water. We're actually looking at what is a nanofilter. So you're going to take it down, the pore size is a whole lot smaller. So you're going to be able to catch a lot smaller particles and be able to remove those from drinking water. So even though we don't have issues today, and the plant we have today is good for what we have quality-wise, as EPA brings on new regs and stuff in the future, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we want to be ahead of that and actually have this filter in place.
Our department is well ahead of most for efforts just like that one, ensuring that Gallatin, as well as the other systems we serve, Castaigne Springs, Bethpage, and Westmoreland, all have exceptional water now and in the future. Now, one of the best indicators of investment in our community is data from our Building Codes Department. In this past year, we've issued more than 10,000 building permits, which include 876 new residences and 112 new commercial buildings. This department performed more than 31,000 inspections in the last 12 months. This is quite a difference from just a few years ago, just like the dollar investments we talk about now. In looking back, we used to share with you when investments were in the low millions, but today we're talking about almost $2 billion in investments. Another reason that Gallatin is such a desired location, our parks and recreation facility. And we're improving. Public recreation amenities translate into really great experiences for people and their families. You'll recall that last year's really big addition was the Gallatin Miracle Park. This year, a lot is happening, but the biggest buzz was for a much smaller investment.
Can I just say, I really appreciate the vision Gallatin has to see how important this sport is to so many people, and how y'all really got together quickly and put some really nice courts together. I mean, Nashville doesn't even have pickleball courts yet like this, so we are ahead of the game by having.
Out of Hendersonville, we're having.
So we really appreciate it.
So Parks and Recreation spent $60,000 to build 6 pickleball courts in Gallatin. I, of course, had no idea what pickleball was, but it's certainly proven to be popular, and our city is the proud home to one of the hottest sports around now. At Thompson Park, a $289,000 addition to last year's budget replaced failing lights at the new ball field, so now brand new LEDs are shining on this field. Also at Thompson Park, the skate park will soon get $75,000 in new equipment. At Clearview Park, a $100,000 new playground will be installed soon. And work is continuing to improve lots of other areas too. As I've heard from soccer, baseball, football, basketball, and pickleball enthusiasts about investments needed in their sports of choice, which is why the Gallatin Parks and Recreation Master Plan is so very important. This plan gathers data, compares it with other cities and offerings in our area, and collects input from residents, helping us to create a priority plan for the future. So far, we know that we compare favorably with other cities overall, but we don't have a final plan of yet. We've heard that there's more work to be done in areas such as land use, maintenance, lighting, leagues, beautification, dog parks, disc golf, and of course, pickleball. With this plan, we will do better at prioritizing and projecting future investment. This plan is also important for many grant opportunities that require such a master plan for eligibility. Finally, our largest Parks and Recreation commitment this year is to improve Clearview Park. $2 million to build a new community center was recently approved. The process is now underway to create a plan for the center that has a long history as an important centerpiece in this neighborhood. In addition to our parks plan, we've also been working for a few years now on updating our land use plan. This plan is required and sets a vision, not a hard and fast rule, about what development is most preferred in which areas of our city. This plan was adopted by the Planning Commission in February. The Council has asked for a few amendments to the plan, and those are currently being considered. It is a foundation through which we may embrace growth consistent with our character and needs and reject projects that don't fit us quite so well. Of course, it can't be comprehensive enough for all possible concepts, but it can help us balance and preserve. We can't shut the doors to our city, but we can do the next best thing by following a blueprint of responsible growth. And yes, it is true that there are thousands of homes approved for Gallatin, but what will ultimately be developed will change with the times, the economic environment, and the degree of attractiveness that our area maintains. At the end of the day, no one will invest in development for which there's not a market, and that will be what dictates how the existing plans may evolve or change over time. Gallatin is also a small piece of the Sumner County Active Transportation Plan to add more than 300 miles of walkways and bikeways. Gallatin's portion will include the $4.8 million trail from Lock 4 Park all the way to Nichols Lane, sidewalks and greenways along Nashville Pike, with current sections planned and funded near Kroger, around Ball State, and near the Liberty Branch Park, which is a really awesome piece of it because a recent acquisition of land is going to allow that trail to cross under the road along the water. Ultimately, Gallatin's plan is to connect both the Station Camp Greenway and Gallatin's Town Creek Greenway that runs past our historic downtown. So that's a small glimpse of the future of Gallatin. I know everyone always wants to know what's new and what's coming. This year was a very big one, and we anticipate that the next year will be even bigger for commercial investment. We're really close to that 50,000 population mark, and that's what puts us on the radar of many retailers and restaurants. But even without that, would you believe that Gallatin issued more than 300 new business licenses since the end of 2020? Of course, many were home-based or represented a change in ownership, but a very large number were still brick-and-mortar retail stores, service providers, or restaurants. Among those were Whataburger, Dutch Bros Coffee, McAllister's, and more than 10 new restaurants. Soon, a new Publix, which will be Gallatin's third, will have opened in Gallatin, along with a new Jonathan's Grill, which is the largest that they have built to date. We have a bigger and better BYH, which is one of my favorites, new office space, and many new independent businesses, all in the last year right here in Gallatin. Of course, among the bigger projects is Meta. This year, Meta, or you may recall it as Facebook, began construction on its second set of buildings. Its first set is projected to open in 2023. The Meta project is the fourth largest development in Middle Tennessee, ranked by capital expenditure. Part of Meta's investment in Gallatin is the $4 million Gateway Drive extension with a traffic signal on Highway 25, providing an important second access to the industrial center. Also related to Meta is a big investment by the employee-owned 100-year-old electrical contractor, Rosenden. Rosenden has approximately 300 employees, and they initially rented space in Gallatin, but they love our community, have become very involved here, and are now permanent residents with the purchase of part of the old Crescent property on Maple Street. Many here will be glad to know that the goat farm is still working its way to construction. Of course, it is the site that will bring a Predators ice rink and retail center to the west side of Gallatin. It has acquired all of its city and county approvals and plans to break ground in 2023. Another big project is Nexus, which is in the site preparation stage. This large investment on the north and south sides of the new West Albert Gallatin will have a commercial component, a 100-acre planned business park, and residential development, including a large 55 and over community. Over in the beautiful Depot Square building, CDF Distribution expanded its footprint to accommodate its growing commercial door business. In the industrial park, Axum began construction for its expansion, a 150,000 square foot second building. And not too far from there, an additional 460,000 square feet of warehouse space is currently working its way through Gallatin's approval process. And then just last week, so you are among the very first to know, it was confirmed that we can look forward to the addition of a 200,000 square foot retail development and hotel that will include major, highly desired shopping options. And I want to see a smile. I see a smile. And I can't wait until we can officially share those details with you, because there will be some happy people in this room. All of this investment is amazing news, but it does lead me to mention our area's workforce challenges. There are jobs available, and there are more jobs coming. The number one thing that we hear from our existing businesses through our very robust existing industries program is that businesses need employees. While we do have a lot of people moving to Middle Tennessee, many aren't participating in the workforce. They're either young retirees living on pensions from other states, or they're working remotely for a distant entity. I even met someone recently working for Orange County, California government, living right here in Gallatin. I tell you this because it demonstrates one of the unique, unanticipated challenges that all of us are facing post-COVID. For workers, we need attainable housing. But the buyers for attainable housing from other areas are outbidding our local residents. We're definitely seeing many major shifts that many leaders are trying to navigate, knowing that the true impact and the resolution will take some years to reconcile. We're fortunate that this major shift does mean great opportunities, particularly for our young people. Our educators see that coming too. Our area career and technical schools, our public schools, our colleges are all working hard to prepare a strong workforce for the future. Did you know that Sumner County schools lead the state in pathways to certifications and in the number of STEM schools in our county? And that Gallatin's own Volunteer State Community College has the #1 online information technology associate's degree in the entire country? There was even an opportunity this past summer for kids to attend robotics camp, thanks to Meta and Shalom Zone, which partnered to teach kids to build and write code for their own robots. Opportunities like we have in our community are big, they're valuable, and they're transformative. As a result, more people will find rewarding careers that provide for better lives. I'll remind you that these are opportunities that are absolutely the result of the growth in our community. I know I've thrown a lot at all of you today. In essence, I'll sum it up by saying a lot of really big and awesome things are happening here, and so much has not even been touched upon. There are, however, other good portals if you'd like to know more about Gallatin or about the unique complexities and parameters of government.
I grew up in this town. I know a lot of these people from childhood, a couple of them, and we just talk, and we talk about what's going on in the city. We talk very openly about some of the issues and challenges, roads and different things that people have questions about. And I get to better understand what the challenges are to operate in the city, but to get all these things in place. So I've loved it. Loved every minute of it so far.
Our Gallatin Government Institute helps residents learn the whys of so many things that may not make sense on the surface. While this program did have a 2-year hiatus because of the pandemic, this year's relaunch of the 6-session class was again well received and highly reviewed. Other programs like the brand new cooperative with the Gallatin Chamber, Get to Know Gallatin for newcomers, Leadership Gallatin and Leadership Sumner also provide superior access to information about our city and our county. I'd highly encourage you to take the time to know more. It's going to help you love your home more, be more knowledgeable, and I guarantee that you'll enjoy your journey too. As we wrap up today, I'll invite you to celebrate with me that we're finally returning to a more normal environment, more like the one that we knew and loved before COVID disrupted our lives and our community so drastically. Many great things are happening in our community, whether it's the back-to-school events by Gallatin High School, the field days sponsored by Unlimited Potential, bike rides, walks, runs, motorcycle rides, trick-or-treating on the square, scarecrow competitions, camps, ball games. There is so much good going on here in our community. Our amazing local events like Square Fest, the Main Street Festival, and Third Thursday on Main are now breaking records for attendance, entertaining local folks and attracting visitors from out of town. Our city continues to be popular with the film industry. This year, Brett Eldridge shot the video for his hit song, Songs About You. The platinum-selling band Parmalee's new video for their Take My Name was set at the Gallatin High School football stadium, and they even hired some Gallatin High School students to act in the video. And a really unique underwater shoot happened in the pool at the Gallatin Civic Center for artist Laura Brenna. Our holiday cheer was back. Tinsel and Treasures, Tuba Christmas, the tree lighting, the Gallatin Christmas Parade, Wreaths Across America, all were huge successes. And over the months ahead, you can look forward to enjoying all of these again. At the city, we were able to again celebrate our employees, hosting both a fun picnic day and a Public Works thank you and rodeo event. We continue to enjoy our beautiful flowers on Gallatin's historic square. Both the baskets and our wildflowers grew. Of course, thanks to our fabulous flower lady. We did have asters, milkweed, purple coneflowers, and more gracing our square in unique displays so abundant that we've added signs to help flower lovers identify what they would like to plant in their very own gardens. A second Juneteenth celebration at the old fairgrounds on Bly Street happened, and this year the city added this day as an official holiday. For Black History Month, the city introduced Black History banners across the city recognizing icons in the civil rights movement. And our plans this year are to add banners honoring local Black residents in the year ahead. Art, too, continues to be an important part of our city, like this hat show print created by our Economic Development Agency that was commissioned for Manufacturing Day, but then became a mural at the Public Works Department. And that was just one of the fabulous murals that was added to our texture and charm over the last year. This one was created as part of an Eagle Scout project, and it's particularly special because of the inspiration.
So I got the inspiration for this project from a man named Mr. Jim Hawkins. He was a lawyer here in Gallatin, a really great guy. He was also on the school board. He was sort of a mentor to my Boy Scout troop, and he taught us a lot of things like citizenship and how to be good people.
Nashville artist Moby Owner brought two beautiful projects to our community. One at the new side yard on Franklin Street featuring native flowers, and this especially meaningful one off of Main Street. On this, he worked overnight to memorialize the powerful message of the man who not only created iconic images that will forever showcase our city, but also taught us all about the power of positivity.
I've had more good than bad, more happy than sad, and more pros than cons than I've ever had in my life. No matter what you're going through in life, you can get through that. We rise by lifting others. Merry Christmas! And man, have I risen.
And oh, how we miss Richard Suter and Judge Mike Carter and our precious Homer Bradley and so many others that we've all lost in recent times. They will be forever missed, but we are truly fortunate to have had them and to have the best kind of people still in our community. People who help build us as individuals and as a community with kindness, love, compassion, and encouragement. People who embody the special spirit of Gallatin, who love and work and do for others before they ever consider themselves. I often say that we will preserve our character and personality if each person makes the decision to perpetuate the kindness that attracted them here in the first place. I know it's a lot to ask, especially in these crazy days, but it will be worth it for our community. Ladies and gentlemen, Gallatin is a precious place. Many, like the men I just mentioned, have dedicated their lives to help Gallatin prosper and thrive. They sacrifice for the vision of what this city could be. We respect and we honor and remember all of those who gave so much to weave the fabric of Gallatin when we make the true concerted effort to continue being the nicest place in America, where loving on people isn't the exception, but the rule. It is an honor I cherish to be your mayor and to serve this city. If I never stand before you again, I'll know how fortunate I was to spend a part of my life serving the city I love, and how blessed I've been by so many who have shared some piece of their life with me. Growing up, I certainly didn't know that I'd find the opportunity of a lifetime right here in the city where I was raised with the people I love. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for letting me share life with you in this special little community, which will forever be driven by grit and determination, yet defined by amazing grace. The place that we call home, Gallatin, Tennessee. I thank you all so very much. I love you. I hope God blesses you today and all the days ahead. May He bless our city, our state, our country too. Thank you all.